Which live-action Godzilla is the most powerful? We all know that Godzilla is the king of the monsters, maybe even all monsters, but which version of the famed kaiju is king over the rest? When it comes to live-action Godzillas, each one is different in size, stature, and overall effectiveness. Be it the overall destruction in its wake or the trademark atomic breath, Godzilla is one of those movie monsters with real lasting power because of how much he's both changed and stayed the same over the years. But which one is the strongest? Let's examine all the live-action kings of the monsters and find out. Godzilla first showed up in 1954 in the Japanese picture titled Godzilla and proved to be a real powerhouse. Meant to be a physical representation of the atomic bombs dropped on Japan at the end of World War II, Godzilla terrorized Tokyo before being killed by an oxygen destroyer. Believe it or not, noted Godzilla co-creator Ishiro Honda in the book A Critical History and Filmography of Toho's Godzilla series by David Kalat. We had no plans for a sequel and naively hoped that the end of Godzilla was going to coincide with the end of nuclear testing. But just as the world's nuclear programs continued, so did the king of the monsters. Each subsequent Godzilla tried to one-up the original, and this was seen in different ways. In Godzilla Raids Again, the monster fights another kaiju of similar size rather than the Japanese people. By his third film, he was fighting King Kong, and by Son of Godzilla, our heroic monster's atomic breath was more refined and arguably more powerful. In the finale of the original Showa era, Terror of Mechagodzilla, the king of the monsters again goes up against Mechagodzilla and some other giant opponents, concluding with a massive win. But about a decade later, the king of the monsters returned for the Heisei era for the return of Godzilla, which introduced a larger Godzilla. Only a few pictures later, the Heisei Godzilla upgraded his atomic breath to a spiral hate ray attack, which proved more formidable than anything the Showa era legend could do. The Heisei Godzilla was much darker than the original, especially at first, and continued to double the kaiju legend's power. In Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, we learn that this Godzilla can absorb the life force of other kaiju, and when he does, can emit a red atomic heat ray even more powerful than his usual blue. To raise the stakes even higher, in the Heisei era finale, Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, the king of the monsters absorbs so much nuclear energy that he becomes Burning Godzilla, arguably one of the creature's most powerful forms. Unfortunately, it also ends with a nuclear meltdown, and every time Burning Godzilla uses more of his incredible power, he gets closer to death. Eventually, he does die, and his life force resurrects his son, Godzilla Jr., to take his place.